The bathroom door slammed shut with a metallic asterisk clang that echoed through the narrow hallway of Belmont's Steakhouse. Inside, Jasmine Crawford stumbled backward, her shoulder hitting the cold tile wall. Her hands were still trembling from what had just happened on the restaurant floor. The humiliation, the accusations, the eyes of every customer boring into her like she was guilty of something she didn't do. "You'll stay in here until you learn some respect," Vincent Hargrove had hissed through the crack in the door, his face flushed red with that particular kind of rage that came from a man who'd never been told no asterisk in his entire life. He was the restaurant manager, mid-40s, receding hairline, expensive watch that didn't match his personality. "And don't even think about making a scene. You're lucky I don't fire you on the spot." The log clicked. Jasmine's breath caught in her throat. She turned slowly, looking at the single flickering fluorescent light above the mirror, the chipped porcelain sink, the narrow window too high to reach. Her phone was still in her locker. Her purse was in the break room. She was trapped. Her uniform, black slacks, white button-down, little black apron suddenly felt like a prison uniform. Her name tag, crooked now from when Vincent had grabbed her by the shoulder, read, "Jasmine, 4 years service." 4 years of smiling through disrespect. 4 years of swallowing her pride when customers snapped their fingers at her like she was a dog. 4 years of watching Vincent promote less qualified people over her, always with some excuse that never quite made sense. But tonight had been different. Tonight, Vincent had accused her of stealing from the cash drawer $200 that she'd never touched, that she'd never even seen. He'd done it loudly in front of the Friday night dinner rush, in front of families and couples and businessmen who all turned to stare at the black waitress being dragged toward the back like a criminal. Now she was locked in a bathroom, breathing hard, fighting back tears that she refused to let fall. Outside, she could hear the muffled sounds of the restaurant, laughter, clinking glasses, the sizzle of steaks on the grill, life going on like nothing had happened, like she didn't matter. Jasmine pressed her forehead against the cold door. She thought about her daughter, Zoe, 9 years old, probably finishing her homework right now at her best friend's house. She thought about her son, Tyler, only 6, who'd drawn her a picture that morning of the two of them holding hands under a rainbow. She thought about the rent due next week, the car payment, the orthodontist bill she'd been trying to figure out how to pay. She thought about her husband. And Vincent Hargrove, smug, cruel, vindictive Vincent Hargrove, standing on the other side of that door with his arms crossed and his conscience clear, had no idea who he had just messed with. If you think this is shocking already, wait until you hear the twist. Hit subscribe now so you don't miss it. The alarm went off at 5:47 a.m., same as always. Jasmine Crawford reached across the bed to silence it, careful not to wake her husband, Cameron, who'd gotten home late from another city council meeting that had run past midnight. His face was peaceful in sleep, one arm thrown over his pillow, still wearing his wedding ring that caught the early morning light. She smiled. Even after 12 years of marriage, that ring still made her heart do a little flip. Jasmine slipped out of bed and padded down the hallway of their modest 3-bedroom home in the Pinewood Hills neighborhood. Nothing fancy, they'd chosen this place deliberately, wanted to stay connected to the community where Cameron had grown up, where they were raising their kids to understand the value of hard work and staying humble. In the kitchen, she started the coffee maker and pulled out ingredients for the kids' lunches. Turkey sandwiches for Tyler, no crust, pasta salad for Zoe, extra olives. She moved through the routine with the efficiency of someone who'd perfected the choreography of working motherhood. "Mama," Tyler appeared in the doorway, rubbing his eyes, dragging his favorite stuffed elephant. "Morning, baby," Jasmine scooped him up, breathing in that particular smell of childhood, shampoo and sleep and innocence. "You're up early. I wanted to see you before you go to work," his small arms wrapped around her neck. "You always leave before I wake up." The guilt stabbed at her chest, sharp and familiar. The truth was, Jasmine didn't have to work at Belmont Steakhouse. Cameron's salary as the city manager of Millbrook, a position he'd earned after years of working his way up from city planner to deputy director to the top job, was comfortable. They weren't rich, but they were secure. But Jasmine had her own dreams. She'd been saving for 3 years now, quietly, steadily, putting away money from her shifts at Belmont's. She was planning to open her own restaurant Jasmine's Table a place that celebrated Southern comfort food with a modern twist, a place where people like her could work with dignity and respect, where every employee would be treated like family. She'd found the perfect location downtown, she'd met with contractors, she'd designed the menu in a battered notebook that she kept hidden in her nightstand. She was so close. Just 6 more months of saving. 6 more months of dealing with Vincent's condescension and the customers who looked right through her and the aching feet at the end of double shifts. 6 more months. I know, baby, she whispered into Tyler's hair, but Mama's working hard so we can do something really special. You trust me. I trust you, Tyler pulled back to look at her with those big brown eyes that were exactly like Cameron's. Daddy says you're the strongest person he knows. Daddy's biased, but she was smiling as she set him down. Go wake up your sister, tell her breakfast in 10 minutes. By 6:45 she'd gotten both kids fed and dressed. Cameron had appeared still groggy to kiss her goodbye and remind her that he had back-to-back meetings today, budget presentation to the council, infrastructure review with the department heads, evening town hall about the new development project. I'll probably be late again, he said apologetically, adjusting his tie. This development deal is getting messy, lot of pressure from the developers, lot of concerns from residents. You'll figure it out, you always do, Jasmine straightened his collar, that's why they hired you. That's why you married me, he corrected with a grin. I married you because you were the only guy at Howard who could out-debate me and make me laugh in the same conversation. Still got both skills. He kissed her once more, slower this time. Love you, Jas. Love you too. She watched him head out to his car, a practical Honda Accord. Nothing flashy, and drive off toward City Hall. Then she loaded her own kids into her aging Toyota Camry and dropped them at school and her sister's house respectively before heading to Belmont's for the early shift. In the rearview mirror, her reflection showed a 34-year-old woman who still looked young, still had that spark in her eyes that said she believed in better things coming. Her natural hair was pulled back in a neat bun, her uniform was freshly pressed. She looked like a waitress. Nobody looking at her would guess that she went home every night to a man who controlled a city budget of $340 million, who had the mayor's ear, who had the power to approve or deny every major development deal in Millbrook. And that was exactly how they liked it. Cameron had always insisted on keeping a low profile. The moment people know who you're married to, he'd told her years ago, they start treating you different, and not always in a good way. So she'd kept her maiden name at work, kept her private life private, let people make their assumptions. It had worked fine for 4 years. Until tonight. The dinner rush at Belmont started around 6 p.m., same as always. Jasmine moved through her section with practiced grace. Table 6 needed refills, Table 9 was ready to order, Table 12 wanted to see the dessert menu. She smiled, nodded, anticipated needs before customers voiced them. 4 years had made her good at this job, even if Vincent would never acknowledge it. She was carrying a tray of drinks to Table 15 when she heard Vincent's voice behind her, sharp and aggressive. Jasmine, my office now. She turned confused. I'm in the middle of. Now asterisk, his face was red, that vein in his temple throbbing the way it did when he was about to explode. Every head in the restaurant turned to watch. Jasmine set down the tray carefully, heart starting to pound. What's wrong? What's wrong? Vincent's voice rose. What's wrong is that we're $200 short in the cash drawer and you were the last person to make a deposit. The restaurant had gone completely silent. I didn't take any money, Jasmine said quietly, aware of dozens of eyes on her. The cash count doesn't lie, Vincent crossed his arms. You're the only server who had access to that drawer in the last hour. That's not true, *3* of us made deposits. Don't make this worse by lying. Vincent stepped closer, lowering his voice but not enough that nearby tables couldn't hear. I've been watching you, Jasmine, always acting like you're better than this job, like you're too good to be here. Maybe you thought you could just help yourself to a little bonus. The accusation hung in the air like poison. Jasmine felt her hands start to shake. I have never stolen anything in my life, you can check the security cameras. Oh, I will, but right now you're coming with me. He grabbed her by the upper arm, not hard enough to leave a bruise but firm enough to be unmistakably aggressive, and steered her toward the back of the restaurant. Jasmine tried to pull away, but his grip tightened. Vincent, let go of me. You'll go where I tell you to go. They passed table after table of shocked diners, a woman with her hand over her mouth, a man reaching for his phone, a teenager whispering urgently to her parents. In the kitchen, the other staff members looked away. Nobody met Jasmine's eyes. Fear and self-preservation had taught them to stay silent when Vincent was on a rampage. He dragged her past the break room, past the dry storage, all the way to the single-stall bathroom in the back hallway. You need to learn some respect, Vincent hissed, shoving her inside. You think you can question me, you think you can make me look bad in front of customers. I didn't. You'll stay in here until you're ready to apologize and admit what you did. And if you make one sound, if you try to make a scene, I'll fire you and make sure no other restaurant in this city will hire you. Do you understand me? Jasmine stared at him, at the cruelty in his eyes, at the absolute conviction that he had the right to do this to her. Do you understand me? He repeated. Before she could respond, he stepped back and slammed the door. The lock clicked. If this part has you on edge, hit the like button right now. It lets us know you want more stories like this. Outside the bathroom, DeShawn Willis stood frozen with his phone in his hand. DeShawn was a line cook, 22 years old, built like he still played college football, which he had before a knee injury ended that dream, and generally tried to keep his head down and his mouth shut at Belmont's. Vincent was a nightmare to work for, but the pay was decent and DeShawn was trying to save up for culinary school. But what he just witnessed made his blood boil. He'd been taking his break, scrolling through TikTok in the back hallway when he'd heard the commotion. He'd watched Vincent drag Jasmine, who was always kind to him, who always asked about his mom who had MS, who'd given him an extra shift last month when he'd mentioned money was tight, past him like a criminal. He'd watched Vincent shove her into the bathroom and lock the door. And something in DeShawn snapped. He opened his camera app, hands shaking slightly, and started recording. Yo, he said quietly into the phone, angling it so the locked bathroom door was visible in the frame. Y'all are not gonna believe what I just saw at Belmont Steakhouse in Millbrook. The manager, Vincent Hargrove, just accused one of our servers, a black woman who's worked here for years, of stealing money with zero proof. Then he literally dragged her to the back and locked her in the bathroom. She's trapped in there right now. This is insane. This is abuse. Someone needs to see this. He posted it to TikTok with hashtags, Belmont Steakhouse Restaurant Abuse, Millbrook Justice for Jasmine, #workplace abuse. Then he screenshot Vincent's public Facebook profile and Instagram, both of which showed him at MAGA rallies and posting vaguely racist memes, and posted those too. The video went live at 7:43 p.m. By 7:52 p.m., it had 1,200 views. By 8:05 p.m., it had 15,000 views and had been reposted by 3 local influencer accounts. By 8:20 p.m., the local news station's Twitter account had picked it up. Breaking, video appears to show restaurant manager locking employee in bathroom at Belmont's Steakhouse has not yet responded to requests for comment. By 8:35 p.m., #Justice for Jasmine was trending in Millbrook. By 8:47 p.m., there were protesters gathering outside Belmont's Steakhouse with signs and phones and very loud voices. Inside the restaurant, Vincent's phone started blowing up with notifications. His boss, the owner of Belmont's, Gerald Crane, who lived 2 states away and ran a chain of mediocre steakhouses, was calling. Corporate PR was calling. His wife was calling. Vincent's hands went cold as he scrolled through TikTok and saw his face, his name, his actions being dissected by thousands of strangers. It's going viral, one of the hostesses whispered, showing her phone to another server. It's everywhere. Vincent's jaw clenched. He stormed toward the back hallway, toward that locked bathroom door, already formulating his defense. He'd say Jasmine was unstable, he'd say she'd threatened him, he'd say the video was taken out of context. He'd make this go away. He always did. At 8:52 p.m., the front door of Belmont's Steakhouse opened. The hostess looked up automatically, about to say they weren't seating any more tables when she recognized the man walking in. Her mouth fell open. Cameron Crawford had removed his tie at some point, but he was still wearing his charcoal suit from the city council meeting. His jaw was set. His eyes were scanning the restaurant with the kind of focus that came from years of reading rooms and calculating power dynamics. Behind him were three people: Chief of Police Natasha Reeves still in uniform, City Attorney Luis Mendoza clutching a tablet, and Mayor Patricia Okonkwo herself, diminutive and elegant and absolutely furious. The restaurant fell silent. Vincent emerged from the kitchen, annoyed at the interruption, then stopped dead when he saw who was standing in his dining room. "Mr. Crawford," he said, his voice suddenly uncertain. He knew that face. Everyone in Millbrook knew that face. Cameron Crawford had been on the cover of Millbrook Business Monthly just last week. "I'm sorry, we're not." "Where is my wife?" The question came out quiet, controlled, but with enough steel underneath that several customers visibly flinched. Vincent's face went white. "You're your wife." "Jasmine Crawford." Cameron took a step forward. "Where is she?" Vincent's mouth opened and closed. His brain was short-circuiting, trying to reconcile the woman he'd locked in a bathroom with the wife of the city manager. There's been a misunderstanding," Vincent stammered. "An employee issue, but I." "Let me be very clear," Cameron said, his voice dropping even lower. "You have locked my wife in a bathroom, you have falsely accused her of theft, you have physically grabbed her in front of customers, and all of this has been captured on video and is currently being watched by approximately," he glanced at Lewis, who checked his tablet, 140,000 people and counting. Vincent's legs nearly gave out. Chief Reeves stepped forward. "Mr. Hargrove, we're going to need you to unlock that door immediately." And then Mayor Okonkwo added, her voice sharp as a blade, "You're going to need a very good lawyer." Cameron was already moving past Vincent, following the sound of muffled voices to the back hallway. He saw the locked bathroom door, saw DeShawn standing guard nearby, looking both terrified and relieved. "She's in there," DeShawn said quietly. "I didn't know what else to do, so I." "You did exactly right." Cameron's voice softened for just a moment. "Thank you." He knocked gently on the door. "Jas, baby, it's me." There was a moment of silence, then the sound of movement inside. "Cameron," Jasmine's voice was thick with tears. She'd finally allowed herself to cry. "I'm getting you out. Stand back from the door." Behind him, Vincent had produced a key with shaking hands. Cameron snatched it from him, unlocked the door and pulled it open. Jasmine stood there, eyes red, uniform rumpled but standing straight with her head held high. The moment she saw her husband, something in her face crumpled just slightly, the way it only did when she felt safe enough to not be strong anymore. Cameron pulled her into his arms. Over her shoulder, he looked at Vincent Hargrove, who was standing there with the dawning realization that he'd just destroyed his entire life. "You have," Cameron said quietly, "made a catastrophic mistake." And then Cameron held Jasmine for exactly 10 seconds, long enough for her to know she was safe, short enough to maintain the composure he needed for what came next. When he pulled back, his hands remained on her shoulders, his eyes searching her face. "Did he hurt you?" "No." Jasmine's voice was steadier now, "but he grabbed my arm and he—" "I saw the video." Cameron's jaw tightened. He turned to Chief Reeves. "I want photographs of any marks on her arm, I want a full statement taken, and I want this treated as unlawful imprisonment and assault." "Already on it," Reeves said, pulling out her radio. "I've got 2 officers outside." Vincent had backed up against the wall, his face the color of old newspaper. This is a misunderstanding. I was just trying to handle an internal matter." "You locked a woman in a bathroom," Mayor Okonkwo cut him off. "There is no handling that makes that acceptable." Luis Mendoza was already typing furiously on his tablet. "Mr. Hargrove, I'm the city attorney. I'm going to strongly suggest you stop talking and contact legal representation immediately. Anything you say right now is being heard by multiple city officials and will be documented." But Vincent wasn't listening. His eyes darted between Cameron and Jasmine, his brain still trying to process how completely he'd miscalculated. "I didn't know she was married to— she never said." she uses a different name. So you only lock women in bathrooms when you think they don't have powerful husbands? Cameron's voice was dangerously quiet. Is that your defense? Vincent's mouth snapped shut. Two uniformed officers appeared in the hallway, one male, one female. Chief Reeves gestured toward Vincent. Escort Mr. Hargrove to the front. He's not to leave the premises until we've completed our investigation. Someone get me the security footage from the past 3 hours, all of it. As the officers moved to flank Vincent, Cameron turned back to Jasmine. I need to ask you something and I need you to be honest. Do you want to press charges? Because this is your decision, not mine. Jasmine looked at Vincent, at this man who'd made her life miserable for 4 years, who'd passed her over for promotions, who'd made snide comments about her hair and her attitude, who'd finally crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. Yes, she said firmly, I want to press charges for everything. Cameron nodded. Then that's what we'll do. He looked at DeShawn, who was still standing nearby. You're the one who filmed this. DeShawn nodded nervously. Yes, sir, I couldn't let him get away with it. What's your name? DeShawn Willis. Thank you, DeShawn. Cameron extended his hand. What you did took courage, I won't forget it. By 10 p.m. that night, the story had exploded beyond Millbrook. The video had been picked up by national news outlets. The Washington Post had assigned a reporter. CNN was running it as a segment on their late-night coverage. The hashtag #Belmont Steakhouse was trending nationally with over 2 million tweets. But something else was happening too. Former employees of Belmont Steakhouse were coming forward. It started with a woman named *Keisha Martinez who'd worked there 3 years ago. She posted a thread on Twitter at 10:47 p.m. Since everyone's talking about Belmont's, let me tell you what Vincent Hargrove did to me. I was 19, I was a hostess. He told me I'd never get promoted to server unless I learned to be friendlier. He cornered me in the walk-in freezer. I quit the next day. I never reported it because I was scared no one would believe me. The thread went viral immediately. Then came Antonio Reyes former line cook. Vincent called me Speedy Gonzalez every single day for 6 months. When I asked him to stop, he wrote me up for insubordination and cut my hours until I had to quit. Lauren Chen former bartender, he told me I should smile more and show a little more skin if I wanted better tips. When I refused, he scheduled me for only lunch shifts when the bar barely made any money. Michael Thompson former server, I'm a gay black man. Vincent made my life hell. Jokes about AIDS, comments about my voice. He once told a customer, don't worry, he won't hit on you. I reported it to corporate. They did nothing. The stories kept coming, dozens of them, hundreds of them. An avalanche of testimonies from people who'd been waiting years for someone to believe them. By midnight, a reporter from Millbrook Daily had dug up Vincent's employment history. Turned out this wasn't his first restaurant. He'd been fired from 2 previous establishments, one for creating a hostile work environment, another for inappropriate conduct with staff. Belmont's had hired him anyway. Gerald Crane, the owner of Belmont's, released a statement at 1:15 a.m. We are deeply disturbed by tonight's incident and are conducting a full investigation. Mr. Hargrove has been suspended pending the outcome of this investigation. The internet tore the statement apart, suspended, not fired. By 2 a.m., protesters had organized a full boycott. Signs outside Belmont's read, dignity over dinner and fire Vincent now, and we believe Jasmine. By 6 a.m. Sunday morning, the Millbrook Sentinel had published a devastating investigative piece titled, Pattern of Abuse, Former Employees Describe Culture of Fear at Popular Steakhouse. The article included interviews with 17 former employees, documentation of dozens of HR complaints that had been ignored, and a damning timeline of Vincent's behavior spanning nearly a decade across multiple restaurants. One line stood out. Multiple sources report that Hargrove specifically targeted employees of color, women, and LGBTQ+ staff members, creating what employment law experts describe as a textbook hostile work environment. By Sunday afternoon, the state's Department of Labor announced it was opening an investigation into Belmont's Steakhouse for potential civil rights violations. The mountain of receipts had become an avalanche. Vincent Hargrove's life disintegrated in real time. Sunday morning, Gerald Crane called him. "You're fired, effective immediately, don't come back, don't contact any current employees, we're cooperating fully with law enforcement." Sunday afternoon, his wife Melissa posted on Facebook, "I am filing for separation from Vincent Hargrove. I do not condone his actions and am horrified by what I've learned. Please respect my privacy and that of my children during this difficult time." Sunday evening, the local country club where Vincent was a member sent him a letter. His membership had been revoked. Monday morning, his lawyer called to inform him that he was being sued in civil court by Jasmine Crawford for unlawful imprisonment, assault, emotional distress, and violation of civil rights. The lawyer also mentioned that at least 6 other former employees were considering joining a class action lawsuit. Monday afternoon, Chief Reeves held a press conference announcing formal criminal charges: unlawful restraint, a misdemeanor; assault, a misdemeanor; and the DA was considering additional charges related to creating a hostile work environment and possible hate crime enhancements given the pattern of targeting. Vincent's mugshot taken Monday evening when he turned himself in showed a man who looked like he'd aged 10 years in 48 hours. The photo went viral with the caption, "The face of consequence." But the real collapse happened Tuesday morning. A reporter from Channel 7 News caught Vincent outside his lawyer's office. "Mr. Hargrove, do you have anything to say to Jasmine Crawford? Any apology?" Vincent, exhausted and desperate, made the worst decision of his life. He stopped. "Look," he said, his voice cracking, "I never meant for this to blow up like this. It was just a disciplinary action that got misinterpreted. Jasmine was always a difficult employee, always had an attitude problem, and I was just trying to—" "You're saying she deserved to be locked in a bathroom?" the reporter pressed. "No, I'm saying people are taking this out of context, and if she hadn't been married to who she's married to, this wouldn't even be a story. This is political. This is because Cameron Crawford has an agenda." The clip played on every news station by noon. Difficult employee attitude problem political agenda. The internet crucified him. Even people who might have been sympathetic to a both sides narrative turned away. Vincent had revealed exactly who he was: someone who blamed the victim, who couldn't accept responsibility, who thought the problem was getting caught rather than his actions. By Wednesday, Vincent Hargrove was unemployable, unmarriageable, and universally despised. He'd become a cautionary tale. Thursday evening, the Millbrook City Council held an emergency town hall at the Civic Center. The room was packed, standing room only, with overflow crowds watching on screens in the hallway. News cameras lined the back wall. The energy was electric, charged with the kind of righteous anger that comes when a community realizes it's had enough. Mayor Okonkwo opened the meeting. "We're here tonight because what happened at Belmont's Steakhouse is not just about one incident. It's about systemic failures that allow abuse to flourish. It's about accountability. And it's about making sure this never happens again." The crowd erupted in applause. One by one, speakers approached the microphone. DeShawn Willis talked about the culture of fear in restaurant work. "We're told to keep our heads down, we're told we're replaceable, we're told that speaking up means losing our jobs, but Jasmine didn't deserve what happened to her, none of us do." Keisha Martinez, hands shaking, described her experience with Vincent. "I was 19 years old, I didn't know I could say no, I didn't know I had rights. I want to make sure the next 19-year-old knows better than I did." Antonio Reyes talked about the daily microaggressions, the coded language, the way discrimination hides in plain sight. "It's not just slurs, it's the nicknames, the jokes. The way managers like Vincent make you feel small every single day until you start believing you deserve it." Then Jasmine stepped up to the microphone. The room went completely silent. She wore a simple black dress, her natural hair framing her face, her shoulders back. Cameron sat in the front row, watching her with unmistakable pride. "My name is Jasmine Crawford," she began, her voice steady. 4 years ago, I took a job at Belmont Steakhouse because I was saving money to open my own restaurant. I have a dream of creating a place where people are treated with dignity, where hard work is valued, where no one has to choose between their paycheck and their self-respect. For 4 years, I endured behavior that I knew was wrong but that I convinced myself I could handle. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself it would be worth it. I told myself that keeping quiet was the professional thing to do. But last Friday, Vincent Hargrove locked me in a bathroom like I was a child being punished, like I was less than human, and in that moment I realized that staying quiet doesn't keep you safe, it keeps abusers in power. The crowd was hanging on every word. What happened to me isn't rare. What's rare is that I had the privilege of a husband who could walk into that restaurant with the mayor and the police chief. Most people don't have that. Most people suffer alone, file complaints that go nowhere, quit jobs they need, and carry the trauma forever. So I'm standing here tonight to say, I'm pressing charges. I'm filing a civil suit. And I'm going to use every platform I've been given, including the one I didn't ask for, to make sure workers have protection, restaurants have accountability, and people like Vincent Hargrove can't just move from job to job leaving destruction in their wake. The room exploded in applause that lasted nearly 2 minutes. When it finally quieted, Cameron stood up. As city manager, I'm announcing tonight that Millbrook will be implementing a new worker protection initiative. This includes mandatory training for all restaurant managers on civil rights and workplace safety, a hotline for reporting abuse that bypasses corporate HR, and partnership with the state labor department to ensure swift investigation of complaints. Additionally, he continued, I'm working with the city council to pass an ordinance requiring restaurants to post employee rights in break rooms, including information about what constitutes unlawful behavior and how to report it. More applause. Mayor Okonkwo added, and I'm calling on every restaurant owner in this city to do a full audit of their workplace culture, because if it's happening at Belmont's, it's happening elsewhere. We're putting you on notice. Millbrook will not tolerate this anymore. The meeting lasted 3 hours. By the end, 5 new policies had been proposed, a community oversight board had been formed, and Millbrook had become a blueprint for how cities could respond to workplace abuse. 6 months later, on a sunny Saturday morning in May, Jasmine's table opened its doors for the first time. The restaurant was everything Jasmine had dreamed of: exposed brick walls, warm lighting, tables made from reclaimed wood, and a menu that celebrated her grandmother's recipes alongside her own innovations. The staff wore comfortable uniforms she'd designed herself. Every employee had benefits, fair wages, and a contract that explicitly protected them from harassment and discrimination. The line to get in wrapped around the block. Cameron stood with Tyler and Zoe near the entrance, watching his wife greet customers with that smile that had made him fall in love with her 12 years ago. She looked radiant. She looked free. Daddy, Zoe tugged his sleeve, is Mama famous now? Mama's always been special, Cameron said, scooping her up. Now other people finally know it too. Inside, DeShawn Willis worked as Jasmine's sous chef. She'd hired him immediately and was paying for his culinary school tuition. Keisha Martinez was the head hostess. Antonio Reyes managed the bar. Jasmine had built her dream, but she'd also built something bigger, a sanctuary for people who'd been broken by systems that didn't value them. As for Vincent Hargrove, he'd pleaded guilty to the criminal charges to avoid trial, received 2 years probation and 500 hours of community service, and was ordered to pay $75,000 in the civil settlement. He'd moved 3 states away, working odd jobs under a name that wouldn't trigger recognition. The class action lawsuit against Belmont's corporate had settled for $2.3 million, distributed among 47 former employees. Gerald Crane had sold the restaurant chain entirely. The building that had once housed Belmont Steakhouse now sat empty, a for-lease sign in the window that no one had bothered to respond to. Jasmine didn't think about Vincent much anymore. She was too busy building something beautiful. That evening, after the last customer had left and the staff was cleaning up, Cameron found Jasmine sitting at table by the window, her shoes off, a glass of wine in her hand, looking out at the street where her name glowed in elegant script. He slid into the seat across from her. How does it feel? Jasmine smiled, like exhaling after holding my breath for 4 years. I'm so proud of you. Cameron reached across the table to take her hand. You could have let this break you, instead you built something that's going to change lives. I had help, Jasmine said softly. I had you, I had this community, I had people who believed me when it mattered most. You had courage, Cameron corrected, everything else just amplified what was already there. They sat in comfortable silence, hands linked, watching the lights of Millbrook shimmer in the spring night. Somewhere in the city, workers were finishing their shifts at restaurants and retail stores and offices, unaware that they now had more protections because of what Jasmine Crawford had endured and refused to accept. Somewhere, a young woman was seeing Jasmine's story on TikTok and realizing that she didn't have to tolerate abuse from her boss, that her voice mattered, that speaking up was possible. Somewhere, justice had shifted, just slightly, just enough, toward the people who'd been waiting for it their whole lives. And in the window of Jasmine's table, a light stayed on, a beacon that said, dignity isn't negotiable, dreams are worth fighting for, and sometimes the people who try to lock you away end up freeing you instead. If this story reminded you that dignity isn't optional, hit like, share your own experience in the comments, your voice matters more than you know.